The Grand Assembly Hall of Concordia Prime had never looked more beautiful. Lights from 1,000 worlds reflected off the crystal ceiling, casting rainbow patterns across the faces of delegates from 200 species. Today marked the 500th cycle of the Galactic Concil, and every seat was filled. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood at the human platform, his hands resting calmly on the metal railing. Behind him, 7 other humans waited in perfect silence. They wore simple blue uniforms with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. Nothing fancy. Nothing threatening. Just professional. Park looked out at the massive chamber. The council chair, Vexnar of the Krolline species, sat on the highest platform. His 4 arms rested on ancient stone armrests that had supported 1,000 leaders before him. Below him, the council members arranged themselves in a half-circle, each on a platform that showed their rank and age in the council. Ambassador Park, Vexnar's voice boomed through the chamber. You may present your proposal. Park bowed slightly. Respectful. Always respectful. Thank you, Council Chair. Humanity comes before you today with a simple request. We have been members of this council for 50 years. In that time, we have followed every law, respected every boundary, and contributed to the peace and prosperity of this union. He paused. Around him, delegates shifted in their seats. Some looked interested. Others looked bored. A few looked nervous. We ask for limited expansion rights. Park continued. 3 new colony worlds in Sector 447. The worlds are uninhabited. They fall within the resource zones designated for expanding species. We have surveyed them and found them suitable for human life. We simply ask for permission to begin settlement. Murmurs filled the chamber. Park expected this. Humans had not asked for expansion rights in 30 years. They had been patient. They had been good citizens. Vexnar raised one hand for silence. The council will discuss this proposal in closed session. Please wait outside. Ambassador, Park nodded. He turned to his delegation and made a small gesture. Together, they walked out of the chamber. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. No complaints. No arguments. They simply obeyed. The human delegation waited in a small room with white walls and uncomfortable chairs. Nobody spoke much. Park checked his datapad, reading reports from Earth and the colonies. His assistant, Kim Min-jung, sat nearby working on her own device. The others rested or reviewed documents. 3 hours passed. Finally, the door opened. A young Thyerian recorder named Thys gestured to them. The council is ready. Park stood. His team followed. They walked back into the chamber with the same calm they had shown before. Vexnar looked different now. His expression was harder. The council members behind him looked uncomfortable. Some would not meet Park's eyes. Ambassador Park, Vexnar began. The council has reviewed your request carefully. We have discussed it with great seriousness and consideration. Park waited. Your request is denied. The word hung in the air. Park's expression did not change. Vexnar continued. Furthermore, the council has decided that humanity must accept new population management protocols. Your species reproduces at a rate that concerns us. Your ability to adapt to different environments is unusual. For the safety and stability of the council, we must ensure that human population growth is controlled. End quote. Park stood very still. Behind him, he heard Kim take a sharp breath. We have seen what happens, Vexnar said, his voice taking on a lecturing tone. When species expand too quickly, ancient records tell of civilizations that grew too fast, consumed too much, pushed too far. They became problems. Threats. We are preventing that outcome. Council Chair, Park said quietly, we have been nothing but cooperative, and we appreciate that. Vexnar replied. Which is why we trust you will accept these new protocols with the same grace you have shown in the past. Park looked around the chamber. 200 species. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked relieved. A few looked smug. They were afraid. That was what this was. Fear. We have committed no crime, Park said. This is not about crime, Vexnar said. This is about prevention, about wisdom, about the greater good. The greater good, Park repeated softly. I see. Vexnar seemed to relax slightly. I am glad you understand, Ambassador. Now, if you would simply sign the agreement to the new protocols, we can move forward and, no. The word cut through the chamber like a knife. Vexnar's forearms tensed. Excuse me? No. Park said again. His voice was not loud. It was not angry. It was simply final. We will not sign. Ambassador. You must understand. I understand perfectly, Council Chair. Kim moved first, closing her datapad. The others followed. They collected their documents, their devices, their bags. The chamber filled with confused murmurs. Ambassador Park. Vexnar stood. You cannot simply walk out. We must discuss this. Negotiate. Find a compromise. Park looked up at him. For the first time in 50 years, Vexnar saw something cold in a human's eyes. There is nothing to discuss, Park said. You have made the Council's position very clear. You fear us. You wish to control us. You will restrict us not for what we have done, but for what you imagine we might do. That is not. It is exactly that. Park's voice remained calm, but each word was carved from ice. 50 years. 50 years we have followed your rules, helped your people, solved your problems. And this is your answer. Population controls. Like we are animals to be managed. 84. 17 Sev. He turned and walked toward the exit. His delegation followed. This is unacceptable. Vexnar shouted. No species walks away from the Council. You will return to your station, and we will discuss this properly. Park stopped at the door. He did not turn around. Humanity is done discussing, he said. The Council has made its choice. Now we will make ours. They left. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions. Council members demanded order. Vexnar slammed his hands on his armrests, calling for calm. Only Thys, the young recorder, remained silent. She watched the empty doorway where the humans had disappeared. She had recorded every word, every gesture. She had seen something the others had missed. The humans had not been angry. They had been disappointed, and somehow, that was much worse. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the Grand Assembly. At first, the Council had laughed about it. Species often made dramatic gestures when they did not get what they wanted. They would be back. They always came back. But the humans did not come back. Trade Minister Krell was the first to notice something wrong. He was a Vortian, a species that looked like a walking tree with too many branches. His people ran the commercial districts of 17 council stations. And suddenly, things were not working right. Where are the medical supplies? He asked his assistant. The shipment from the human colony on Verdant Station. It should have arrived yesterday. His assistant checked the logs. Sir, it says the contract was cancelled 2 months ago. What? By whom? By the humans, sir. Krell felt something cold in his chest. Contact them. Find out what happened. His assistant tried. The communication went through. A human woman appeared on the screen. Professional and polite. I am sorry, she said. But we are no longer fulfilling that contract. We have closed our medical facility on Verdant Station. Why? Krell demanded. That facility served 3 systems. The human woman smiled. It did not reach her eyes. The Council made its position on humanity very clear. We are simply respecting that position. Thank you for your inquiry. I have Iran. We are seeking decided it. The plea for 42S. We are seeking discussed 42. The screen went dark. Krell stared at it. Then he started checking other contracts. His branches began to shake as he read. 7 human trade ships had stopped coming to council stations. 12 human research facilities had closed. 23 human mining operations had shut down. He was not the only one noticing. On Nexus Prime, the main agricultural station for the inner systems, Director Val watched his crop yields drop for the 3rd week in a row. The Thiarian farming methods were not working anymore. They needed the modifications that the human agricultural specialists had taught them. But the human specialists were gone. They had resigned quietly and left. Polite messages. No anger. Just, "We are returning to human space. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you." On Helix Station, the main medical center faced a crisis. 3 of their best doctors were human. They had trained dozens of alien doctors in new surgical techniques. Now, all 3 were gone. And the surgeries they used to perform? Nobody else knew how to do them. Director Miss sent an urgent message to human space. "Please, we need your doctors. We have patients dying." The response came from Ambassador Park himself. "We are very sorry to hear about your patients. Perhaps the Council's medical division can assist you. Humanity cannot help at this time. But you must." Miss sent back. "People are dying." Park's response was cold. "The Council determined that humanity required population controls because we are dangerous. Surely, the Council has considered how to provide services without dangerous humanity's involvement." No more messages came after that. Council Chair Vexnar sat in his private chamber, reading report after report. The situation was getting worse. Humans had been involved in everything. Nobody had realized how much. They had worked quietly, never demanding attention or credit. Now the work was not being done. Vexnar called an emergency session. The council members gathered, and for the first time in centuries, they looked worried. "This is a temporary problem," Elder Zorith said. He was ancient. Even by council standards, his species lived for thousands of years. "The humans are making a point. They will return when they realize they need us." Trade Minister Krell stood up, his branches shaking with anger. "They do not need us. We need them. Do you understand? 17 systems are facing food shortages. Medical supplies are running out in 23 sectors. The mining operations that supplied our shipyards are closed. We need to fix this now." Quote, "We will send a diplomatic mission," Vexnar decided. "We will negotiate. Find a compromise." They sent 3 diplomatic ships to the border of human space. All 3 were met by human patrol vessels. The humans were polite, professional. They listened to the Council's messages. Then they said no. "Ambassador Park has made humanity's position clear," the human captain said. "We are withdrawing from Council space. All humans are returning to our own territory. This is not negotiable. But we can discuss the population protocols," the Council diplomat said desperately. Perhaps we were too hasty. The human captain's expression did not change. The Council made its decision. Humanity has made ours. Please return to Council space. You are not welcome here. The diplomatic ships returned with nothing. This, the young recorder, had been watching everything carefully. She was not important enough for anyone to notice her. But she had access to all the records. She started going through them, searching for information about what humans actually did in Council space. What she found shocked her. Humans were in 10,000 different operations across Council space. They were engineers, on stations, logistics officers, in shipping companies, teachers in schools, doctors, in hospitals, agricultural specialists on farming worlds, researchers in laboratories, translators, advisors, coordinators. They were everywhere. And now, they were nowhere. This found something else. Records of conflicts that almost happened but did not. She dug deeper. In each case, human diplomats had been involved. Quiet conversations. Careful negotiations. Problems solved before they became wars. 6 major conflicts prevented in the last 50 years. All because of human intervention. Nobody had noticed. The humans never took credit. Thys took her findings to Vexnar. He read through them slowly, his face growing darker. "This cannot be accurate," he said finally. "It is all in the official records, Council Chair," Thys said quietly. "The humans were holding everything together, and we did not even see it." Vexnar dismissed her. But that night, he could not sleep. He kept thinking about Park's face when he had walked out. That cold disappointment. The next morning brought worse news. Long-range sensors had detected something in deep human space. Massive construction projects. Dozens of them. The humans were building stations, shipyards, colonies. They were building fast, faster than should be possible. How are they doing this? A council member asked. The military advisor pulled up the scans. They are not following council building protocols. They are using their own methods, more efficient, more dangerous. They are expanding at 3 times the rate we ever allowed them. We must stop them, Elder Zorth said. How? Vexnar asked quietly. They are in their own space. They are breaking no laws. They are simply leaving us behind. The room fell silent. On the view screen, the scans showed humanity building a future that did not include the Council at all. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Concil felt afraid. 6 months after the walkout, Council Intelligence Officer Krell stood in front of a massive display screen. He was Drakian, a species known for their attention to detail. Right now, he wished he was less good at his job, because what he was seeing terrified him. The screen showed human space. 6 months ago, it had been orderly, controlled. Now it looked like an explosion of activity. 73 new colonies, Krell said to the assembled council members. Established in 6 months. That should be impossible. Well, yet they are doing it, Vexnar said quietly. Krell changed the image. These are their shipyards. They have built 9 new ones. Each one is producing ships at a rate we cannot match. How? Elder Zorth demanded. They do not have the resources. They do not have the technology. They have both, Krell replied. We just never let them use it. Look here. He highlighted several asteroids in human space. They are mining resources at incredible speed, and their manufacturing techniques are far more efficient than ours. Another council member leaned forward. Are they preparing for war? No. Krell shook his head. That is what makes this worse. They are not building warships. They are building colony ships, cargo vessels, research stations, medical facilities. They are building a complete civilization. The room fell silent. They were holding back, Vexnar said softly. All this time, they were limiting themselves to stay within our rules. Krell nodded. And now they are not. On the human colony New Sol, Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood on a balcony overlooking the construction of the city. Buildings rose quickly. Their designs a blend of Earth architecture and new materials developed for alien worlds. In the distance, agricultural fields stretched to the horizon. His assistant, Kim Min-jung, approached with a datapad. 3 more council species have sent requests for trade agreements. Responses? Park asked. We told them what we told the others. We are willing to trade, but only as equals. Fair prices, fair terms, no restrictions on our growth or development. Park nodded. And 2 accepted immediately. The 3rd is still considering. Kim paused. The council has forbidden species from trading with us independently. I know, Park said. What will those species do? Park smiled slightly. They will choose. And I think we both know what most of them will choose. He was right. The Vortians were the first. Trade Minister Krell himself traveled to the border of human space and requested a meeting. Park met him personally. The council says we cannot trade with you, Krell said. His branches were shaking, but not from fear, from anger. They threaten sanctions, expulsion from council stations. That is their right, Park said calmly. They are fools. Krell exploded. Your medical supplies saved thousands of my people. Your agricultural techniques feed 3 of our colonies. Your engineers taught us how to improve our stations. And the council wants us to give all that up because they are too proud to admit they were wrong? What will you do? Park asked. Krell straightened. My people have taken a vote. We are withdrawing from the council. We wish to establish an independent trade agreement with humanity. Park extended his hand. Welcome, Trade Minister. We are honored to work with you. The Vorchans were not the last. Within 2 months, 5 more species followed. They were smaller species, ones that had always been on the edges of council power. The humans had treated them with respect, had helped them without asking for anything in return. Now they chose humans over the council. Thys watched all of this from her position in the records department. She saw the council fracturing. She saw the fear in the eyes of the elder members. She saw the anger in the younger ones. She made a decision. Late one night, she compiled a report. It contained everything she had found about human contributions to the council. Every conflict they had prevented. Every innovation they had shared. Every species they had helped. She added one more section. Records of the council's treatment of humanity over the 50 years. How humans had asked for small expansions and been denied. How they had offered technologies and been refused. How they had requested simple respect and been given restrictions instead. She sent the report to every council member. Then she sent it to every species in the council. All of them. The next morning, the council chamber was in chaos. This is classified information, Elder Zoreth roared. Who released this? Thys stood. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. I did. Every eye turned to her. You had no authority, Zoreth said. I had a duty, Thys replied. A duty to the truth. The council has lied to itself. For 6 months, we pretended the humans were being unreasonable. We pretended they owed us their cooperation, but the truth is in those records. We used them. We restricted them. We feared them. And now we are suffering, because they are gone. Silence, Vexnar commanded. But his voice lacked strength. No, Thys said. She looked around the chamber. Read the reports. All of you. See what the humans did for us. See how we repaid them. Then tell me who was wrong. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some council members defended the old decision. Others questioned it. Species that had never spoken up before were suddenly demanding answers. In the middle of the chaos, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Every screen lit up with the same warning symbol. Krell appeared on the main display, his face pale. Council Chair. We have a crisis. The Krell swarm has awakened. The chamber fell silent instantly. The Krell swarm. Every species knew the stories. An ancient enemy that had destroyed civilizations. The council had fought them centuries ago, and barely won. The swarm had gone dormant. Everyone had hoped they would stay that way forever. Where? Vexnar asked. Outer Rim. Sector 890. They have already destroyed 3 outposts. Krell's hands were shaking. Council Chair, we need to mobilize the fleet immediately. Do it, Vexnar ordered. Send everything we have. As the council members rushed to their duties, Thys remained in her seat. She looked at the reports, still displayed on her screen. Reports of how humans had stopped the last 2 swarm incursions before they became major threats. The humans had protected the council from threats nobody else even knew existed. And now, when the council needed protection most, the humans were gone. Thys closed her eyes and prayed to whatever gods might listen that the council could survive what was coming. The council fleet gathered at Rally Point Sigma, just outside the Outer Rim, 200 warships from 50 different species. It should have been an impressive sight. It should have felt powerful. Instead, Admiral Korath felt sick. The Drakian commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the tactical display. The fleet was assembled. The ships were armed. But something was wrong. He could feel it in every report, every communication, every order. The fleet was not working together. Supply ships are not in position. His logistics officer reported. The Thyarian contingent says they did not receive the movement orders. I sent those orders 6 hours ago, Korath snapped. Yes, Admiral. But the Thyarians use a different communication protocol. The message was not translated correctly. Korath felt his stomach sink. There had always been translation issues. But usually the human communication officers caught them and fixed them before they became problems. The humans were gone now. Get me a translator, Korath ordered. Fix it immediately. It took 3 hours to sort out. 3 hours they did not have. The Krell swarm did not wait. They came like a dark tide, thousands of organic ships that moved like a single creature. They hit the Council's forward positions with terrible speed. All ships, battle formation, Korath ordered. Formation pattern, Delta 7. The Council ships tried to form up. But Delta 7 was a complex formation that required precise coordination. The Vortian ships moved into position quickly. The Krolene ships were too slow. The Thyarian ships went to the wrong coordinates. Within minutes, the formation was a mess. The Krell smashed into them like a hammer. Council ships scattered. Some tried to hold the line. Others retreated. There was no coordination. No unity. Korath watched his fleet fall apart and realized the truth with cold horror. The humans had not just been communication officers. They had been the ones who made the fleet work. They had coordinated between species. They had anticipated problems. They had kept everything running smoothly. Without them, the Council fleet was just a collection of ships that could not work together. Retreat, Korath ordered. All ships, fall back to Rally Point Theta. The retreat was chaos. Ships crashed into each other trying to escape. The Krell pursued, destroying the slower vessels. By the time the fleet reached safety, they had lost 43 ships. 43 ships in one battle. The Council had not lost that many ships in a century. Back on Concordia Prime, Vexnar received the report in stunned silence. The Council chamber was packed with delegates, all demanding answers. This is a disaster, Trade Minister Krell said bluntly. The fleet cannot fight without proper coordination. We will adapt, Elder Zoreth said. But his voice was uncertain. Adapt how? Krell demanded. It took us centuries to build the coordination we had. The humans provided the structure that held it together. They trained our officers. They developed the protocols. They made it work. We cannot rely on one species for our survival, Zoreth argued. We already did, Krell shouted. For 50 years, we just never admitted it. Vexnar raised his hand for silence. We will send a message to the humans. We will request their assistance. They will refuse, a council member said. Then we will offer them terms. Compromise. Negotiate. Vexnar personally recorded the message. He tried to sound diplomatic, reasonable. Ambassador Park, the council faces a grave threat. The Krell swarm has awakened. We have suffered significant losses. We request humanity's assistance in this crisis. We are willing to discuss terms for your return to the council. He sent the message and waited. 2 days later, a response came. Park Ji-woo appeared on the screen, sitting in a simple office. His expression was calm, professional, cold. Council Chair Vexnar, humanity has received your request for assistance. We have considered it carefully. Vexnar leaned forward, hope rising in his chest. Our answer is no. The hope died. Park continued in that same calm voice. The Council determined that humanity was too dangerous for expansion rights, that our population was too large, that our capabilities were too concerning. Surely, the Council's wisdom extends to its own defense. Humanity will not interfere in Council affairs. We wish you success in your conflict. Ambassador, please, Vexnar said. People are dying. Park's expression did not change. People have always been dying, Council Chair. When our medical facilities closed and patients died, the Council did not help. When our people asked for expansion room and were denied, the Council did not care. Why should humanity care now? Because it is the right thing to do. Now Park's expression shifted. Just slightly. A hint of anger broke through the professional mask. The right thing to do, Park repeated softly. We did the right thing for 50 years. We helped every species that asked. We solved problems without seeking credit. We protected the Council from threats you never even knew existed. And when we asked for the smallest recognition, the smallest freedom, you responded with fear and control. He leaned forward. Do you know what hurt most, Council Chair? It was not the denial of our expansion request. It was the population controls. You looked at us and saw animals to be managed. Not partners, not equals, animals. We were wrong, Vexnar said quietly. I see that now. Do you? Or do you simply see that you need us? Park shook his head. Humanity will not return to save you, Council Chair. Not until the Council learns what respect means. Good luck with your war. The screen went dark. Vexnar sat in silence. Around him, the Council chamber filled with voices. Anger. Fear. Blame. Thys watched from her station. She had seen this coming. She had tried to warn them. Now it was too late. Or was it? She looked at the data on her screen. Information about human space. About the new colonies. About Ambassador Park. She made a decision that could cost her everything. That night, Thys left Concordia Prime on a small shuttle. She filed a flight plan for a survey mission. Nobody questioned it. She was not important enough to watch closely. She crossed into human space 3 days later. Human patrol ships met her immediately. This is Patrol Vessel Incheon, a voice said. You are in human territory. State your purpose. My name is Thys. I am a council recorder. I request a meeting with Ambassador Park Ji-woo. There was a pause. Why? Because I believe I can help. And because the galaxy is going to fall apart if someone does not fix this. Another pause. Longer this time. Follow us, the voice said finally. Do not deviate from the course we set. Any deviation will be treated as hostile action. Understood, Thys said. They took her to New Seoul. She had expected military facilities. Weapons. Defenses. Instead, she saw a beautiful city filled with parks and schools and homes. She saw humans walking with aliens from the species that had left the Council. She saw children playing together. She saw peace. They brought her to a building overlooking the city. Park Ji-woo waited in a simple office with windows that showed the sunset. Recorder Thys, he said. Not friendly, not hostile, just professional. Thys took a breath. To ask what it would take for humanity to return, Park studied her for a long moment. The Council sent you? No. I came on my own. She met his eyes. The Council is failing, Ambassador. Not just against the Krell. Everything is falling apart. Species are leaving. Others are fighting. The structure is breaking. Without humanity, the Council cannot hold together. That is not humanity's problem. It will be, Thys said. When the Council falls, there will be chaos, wars, suffering. The strong species will prey on the weak. Everything will collapse. Humanity will not be able to stay isolated. The chaos will reach you eventually. Park said nothing. I read your records. Thys continued. All 50 years of them. I know what you did. How you helped. How you protected everyone. The Council treated you terribly. We were wrong. But if you let the galaxy burn because of that, millions will die, including people who had nothing to do with the Council's decision. What do you want from me, Recorder? Tell me what it would take, Thys said simply. What would humanity need to return? Not to save the council. To save the galaxy. Park walked to the window. He looked out at the city for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was tired. Respect, he said. Just respect. We never wanted to rule the council. We never wanted special treatment. We just wanted to be treated as equals. To be trusted. As partners. To be seen as people, not problems. He turned to face her. Can you give us that? Recorder Thys. Can the council? I do not know, Thys said honestly. Park smiled slightly. It was the first real expression she had seen from him. Then, let us talk. Thys returned to Concordia Prime, carrying a data chip. It contained humanity's terms for renewed cooperation. Her hands shook as she entered the council chamber. She had gone to human space without permission. She could be arrested, expelled, exiled. She did not care. The galaxy was more important than her career. Council Chair Vexnar looked up as she approached. His expression shifted from surprise to something like hope. Recorder Thys. We thought you were on a survey mission. I lied, Thys said simply. I went to human space. I met with Ambassador Park. The chamber exploded with noise. Council members shouted. Some demanded her arrest. Others demanded to know what she had learned. Vexnar raised his hand for silence. What did the humans say? Thys held up the data chip. They have terms. For cooperation. Not for rejoining the council. Not yet. But for helping with the Krell crisis and beginning to repair relations. Let me see them, Elder Zoreth demanded. Thys handed over the chip. Zoreth loaded it onto the main display. Every council member read the terms in silence. They were surprisingly simple. First, the council must publicly acknowledge humanity's contributions over the past 50 years. Second, the population control protocols must be removed immediately. Third, humanity would have a permanent seat on the council's decision-making committee, not just as observers, but as full partners. Fourth, humans would have the right to expand freely within unclaimed space. Fifth, other species currently under restriction would receive fair review of their status. This is outrageous, Zoreth said. They are demanding we change our entire structure. They are demanding respect, Thys said quietly. That is all. Everything on that list is simply treating them as equals. It sets a precedent. Other species will demand the same. Good, Trade Minister Krell said. He stood up, his branches firm and steady. Maybe they should. Maybe we have been wrong about more than just humanity. This is not just about right and wrong, another council member said. If we give in to these demands, we look weak. We are weak, Vexnar said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. Let us stop pretending otherwise. We lost 43 ships in one battle. Our fleet cannot coordinate. Our economy is failing. Species are leaving us. We are weak because we drove away the ones who made us strong. He looked around the chamber. I have been council chair for 300 cycles. I have seen the council at its best. And I have watched us make the worst mistake in our history. We feared humanity's strength, so we tried to control it, and we lost it entirely. What are you saying? Zoreth asked. I am saying we vote on these terms. Now, the chamber fell silent. Council Chair, Zoreth said carefully. If we accept these terms, everything changes. Everything has already changed, Vexnar replied. The question is, whether we change with it, or die clinging to the past. The vote was called. It was not unanimous. 23 council members voted against the terms. They were older members, ones who had been in power for centuries. They could not imagine the council being different than it always was. But 147 members voted yes. The terms were accepted. Vexnar did something then that no council chair had done in living memory. He stepped down from his platform and asked for a personal shuttle. He was going to human space himself, You cannot, Zorith said. The Council Chair does not leave Concordia Prime during a crisis. The Council Chair does what is necessary, Vexnar replied. And I will not send another messenger to clean up my mistakes. I will face Ambassador Park myself. The journey to New Sol took 5 days. Vexnar spent them reading reports. Every record of humanity's contributions. Every instance where humans had helped and been ignored. Every request they had made and been denied. By the time he arrived, he felt sick with shame. Park Ji-woo met him in the same simple office where he had met this. The human ambassador stood as Vexnar entered, a gesture of courtesy. But his expression was guarded. Council Chair, Park said. This is unexpected. Ambassador Park, Vexnar replied. Thank you for seeing me. They sat across from each other, two leaders who had once worked together. Now there was a wall between them, built of broken trust. The Council has accepted your terms, Vexnar said. I know. Recorder Thys sent word. She is remarkable. You should know that she risked everything to come to you. We know, Park said. Why are you here, Council Chair? Vexnar took a breath. To apologize. Personally. Not as a negotiating tactic. Not as politics. As someone who was wrong and wants to admit it. Park's expression did not change, but he listened. I was afraid of you. Vexnar continued. I looked at humanity and saw how quickly you adapted, how efficiently you worked, how naturally you connected with other species, and I was afraid that you would outgrow us. That the Council would become irrelevant. So you tried to keep us small, Park said quietly. Yes. And I told myself, it was wisdom. That I was protecting the galaxy. But the truth is, I was protecting my own power. The Council's power. We wanted to stay in control. Park sat back in his chair. He was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what the worst part was? Park said finally. It was not the restrictions. It was the contempt. You looked at us like we were children. Dangerous children who needed to be managed. We had proven ourselves for 50 years, and it was never enough. I know. Do you? Do you understand what it felt like to help save lives, prevent wars, build the future, and then be told we were too dangerous to be trusted? I am beginning to, Vexnar said quietly. I am reading the reports now. All the things you did that we never acknowledged. The Krell incursions you stopped before they became threats. The conflicts you prevented. The innovations you shared. He paused. Why did you never demand credit? Park smiled slightly. It was a sad smile. Because we did not do it for credit. We did it because it was right. Because we believed in the Council. In the idea of species working together. His smile faded. We believed in something that did not actually exist. It can exist, Vexnar said. If we build it properly this time. As true partners. Not as masters and subjects. Can it? Can the Council really change? I do not know, Vexnar admitted. But we must try. Because you were right. Without humanity, the Council is failing. And when it fails, the galaxy will suffer. Park stood and walked to the window. Outside, the city of New Sol glowed in the evening light. Humans and aliens walked together in the streets. Children played in parks. It was peaceful. Safe. We have built something good here, Park said. Away from the Council. Away from the restrictions. We are happy. I can see that. If we come back, if we help, things have to be different. Really different. Not just words. Not just promises. They will be. Vexnar said. I give you my word. And if I break it, you can leave again. This time, I would not blame you. Park turned to face him. The Krell crisis. How bad is it? Problem. Very bad. We have lost 60 ships now. The swarm is advancing. We cannot stop them. Park nodded slowly. I will need to speak with my people. And with the other species that left the council. We make decisions together now. Of course. 2 days later, Park sent his answer. Humanity would help. But not alone. They would come with the 5 species that had left the council. Together. As partners. The human fleet arrived at the Krell front 1 week later. 20 ships. Not a huge fleet. But they came with something the council had lost. Coordination. Admiral Korath watched from his flagship as the human vessels moved into position. They were efficient. Precise. Within an hour, human communication officers had integrated with every council ship. They did not take over. They helped. They translated. They coordinated. They made the fleet work again. All ships, Korath said. Formation Delta 7. This time, it worked. Every ship moved to the right position. The formation held. When the Krell attacked, they hit a unified force. The council fleet fought as one. The battle was hard. They lost ships, but they held the line, and slowly, they pushed the Krell back. It took 6 weeks to drive the swarm back to dormancy. 6 weeks of hard fighting. But with human coordination and council strength working together, they won. When the fleet returned to Concordia Prime, the council held a ceremony. Park Ji-woo stood with Admiral Korath and Vexnar. Behind them, representatives from 200 species gathered. Vexnar spoke to the assembled galaxy. Today, we honor those who fought, and we acknowledge a truth we should have admitted long ago. Humanity has protected this council, strengthened it, improved it, and we repaid them with fear and restriction. That ends today. He turned to Park. Ambassador Park Ji-woo, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer you a full seat at the council table, not as guests. As equals. As partners. Park shook his hand. Then he spoke to the assembly. Humanity accepts. But we do not return to the council that was. We return to help build the council that should be. One, where all species are treated with respect. Where strength is celebrated, not feared. Where we work together, not because we must, but because we choose to. He looked around the chamber. We never wanted to replace you. We just wanted to stand beside you. Let us build that future together. The chamber filled with applause. It was not universal. Some still opposed. Some still feared. But it was a beginning. This watched from her recorder's station. She had been promoted to senior recorder for her actions. She was part of the reform movement now, working to change the council from within. She looked at the display showing Park and Vexnar standing together. 2 leaders who had been enemies, now working as partners. It would not be easy. There would be more conflicts, more disagreements. The council had centuries of habits to break. But for the first time in months, this felt hope. The galaxy had learned something important. Strength was not about control. It was about cooperation. And humanity had taught them that lesson. Not through conquest, but through their absence. Sometimes the best way to teach respect was to walk away and let people realize what they had lost. The council had learned. Now came the harder part, living up to what they had promised. In the chamber below, Park and Vexnar talked quietly about the future. About new colonies. About joint research projects. About building something better than what had come before. Above them, the crystal ceiling reflected light from 1,000 worlds. Together, they would make sure that light continued to shine.